2 decades and a half. And one of the things we will cover a little is, one of the things you guys wanted me to cover was goal setting. And so getting a job where you would go to work on your birthday. So we'll cover that a little bit. We'll talk about goal setting, but more in a kind of a macrocosmic perspective as well. And we'll do body scan. I'm going to stick to the format because I just feel that I should in this context. Body scan, we'll do a concentrative exercise, some breath awareness, which a lot of yoga and meditation will have breath. As a matter of fact, the breathing will probably be a common thread or suture through the whole practice at some point. And then we'll do a visualization on like the goal setting visualization, something that I think your corporate clients will probably like as well. All right, so then I can just flip through these, right? Like that, and it's coming on the screen. Okay. Great. All right, so this one is the one of the mindfulness exercises. I think these will start the process of getting you used to just kind of visualizing in your mind and getting to see just some kind of basic concepts, basic internal mental structures, along with meditating, trying to get your mind sometimes to be totally still. There is also meditation for goal setting or for doing other complex processes. Like I worked with people that were race car drivers. And how many of you would think that race car driving and meditation are linked together? And you can see that, right? Because it is sometimes, there's a saying, to go fast, first go slow. And so we would do some techniques related to that.
Try scrolling up a little bit, or the other way.
Oh, okay, I can scroll through this? Yeah. Okay, that's even better. Okay. Great, so these are some of the benefits. I was told to stay less on the PowerPoint side and more on the meditative side, so I'm going to actually kind of power through the PowerPoint side of it. But as we all know, there are many benefits. I did prepare a little bit for this discussion, and so I want to talk a little bit about something called gray matter atrophy and the concept of perishable skills. So when you're selling this idea of meditation, some of these abilities are what are called perishable skills, meaning if you don't run them on a regular basis, kind of like tuning up your car, they actually they atrophy. I work with a client who has multiple sclerosis, and gray matter atrophy is a very real thing. So when you process complex processes, whether they're specific breathing exercises or visualizations, you actually are kind of using your brain like a muscle. And those thought patterns and those neurological pathways actually do grow. There was a study called SPECT. It was a well-known study that was done on Tibetan Buddhist monks who meditate on a regular basis, and they found that the blood flow, the cerebral blood flow to those parts of the mind that are related to concentration actually increased during meditation. So there are some very specific, in the same way that when you go to a gym and work out, your muscles get increased blood flow and your muscles get stronger, your brain also gets used to these patterns, and these specific neurological pathways also get stronger. And so the benefits of consistent, whether they're visualization or breath pattern meditation, just the benefits of doing those over and over again will keep those pathways open, and you'll have easier access to those states of consciousness. All right. So let's start with a really basic one. I'm going to scroll through these again. I'm going to try, I'll do my best to get through these as fast as possible. All right. So lower anxiety. Okay, this is the one that they wanted me to cover. So this is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to start off with this, this basic one to begin with. So take a moment, take a deep breath, and just kind of center in. So just find a balance point between your left and right side as best as you can. And then inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And just see how that resonates. Try to relax your shoulders, relax your jaw, soften your lips, soften even your tongue. And then with your mind's eye, imagine 5 things you can see. So just think in your mind's eye, whatever they are, they can be completely random things. Maybe a fountain that you pass by on your way to work, or a bicycle, a random thought exercise is just imagine 5 specific things. And now we'll link one for every breath, so take a deep breath. Exhale through the mouth, and just see that image. I'm going to use a neutral image, let's say a bicycle. Just see the image. See it in your mind's eye, make it clear, make it bright, make it lucid. See if you can make it in color. And take in another deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. And then see the 4th thing, whatever it is. And don't worry if one doesn't come to mind. If you find yourself having any kind of stress during these processes, or you're not seeing it clear enough, or whatever it is, just label that as a thought, because that's all that is. It's just a thought. Sometimes you'll get clear thoughts, sometimes you won't. And again, take another deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. See the 3rd thing. And again, we'll go through the same process. Just do your best to see it clearly. Let's say it's a glass of water. Try to make it clear and focus. Notice what's in the glass. Notice the shape. Notice the distance it is from your conscious being. Is it something you would be able to touch? Is it far away? Take another deep breath. And then slowly coming down to the next item. So whatever it is that comes to mind. So we're on our 3rd, and just seeing that image, make it clear. Make it in focus. And again, relaxing through the process, right? So last thing you want to do is get into any kind of self-judgment of whether it's clear or not. Just it is there or it is not, and that's okay. Take another deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. We'll call this number 2. So we have one more to go, just seeing that image again, envisioning that thing, whatever it is. Maybe a plant, or maybe it's even an image of you as a child. Maybe your 5th or 6th birthday party comes to mind, or an image you recently saw on Instagram, whatever it is. Make it clear, make it in focus, see it as it is. And then our final, deep breath in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And then our final thing, whatever the object is, again, try not to judge it, try not to wonder maybe why it's this object versus another one. Just, it is there. And with most thoughts, it too will pass. And then again, take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Now we'll move on to acknowledging 4 things that you could touch. Now in this one, you can feel free to, as long as it's on your own body, you could even just touch, like, your knee is a thing. You could touch your shoulder. Right? You can visualize it and see your internal memory body touching that thing, whatever it is. So let's start with another deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth. And just visualize that thing. It could be one of the ones you already thought of, and just either mentally touch it, or if it's one of your, let's say your shoulder, then just touch your shoulder. Now, if at any time it gets confusing, you could just make it one of the ones that I say. And again, taking another deep breath. Exhale. See that next thing, and then reach out and touch that next thing. And again, it could be simply touching your right thigh. And another deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. And then just either see another image thing or touch just your ring finger and your thumb together. Very gently. Feeling the sensation, taking another deep breath. And exhale, the last thing, whatever it is, again, either in your mind's eye, maybe it's like a soft and fluffy rabbit, or an orange, or an apple, or maybe it's simply your right shoulder. Touch that thing. Take in another deep breath. And exhale. Letting go, letting go. Now we're going to move into things that we can hear. And this meditation is simple contemplation. Just become aware of the space that we're currently in this current time. Taking a deep breath. And hear a sound and label what you think that sound is in your mind. An example of this might be the sound of the phone or speaker in a random conversation. Label it thought and exhale again. And taking another deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. And repeating the process again. So whatever this next thing is, hearing the sound of the room. Perhaps the sound of footsteps comes to mind. If it was footsteps, label it as what it is. And then take in another deep breath and exhale again. And then one last thing. Deep breath in. Exhale. And this time maybe go for a more subtle sound, like the hum in the air, the sound of the ventilation system, something a little more intricate, a little more distant. Maybe a sound outside of the room. And taking another deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. And now we'll go through the sense of smell. Now this one might be a little tricky, but you might have to go into some memory. So in this one, I want you to think back in time to some memory in your life of a very distinct situation where you could smell a very vibrant smell. Preferably, perhaps something pleasurable, whatever it is. Perhaps an image of a flower comes to mind. If one doesn't come to mind, it's okay. Again, taking a deep breath and smell that smell. And again, deep breath in. We'll move on to the next one. So think of another circumstance where you're in a situation where you could smell perhaps some other smell in nature. Maybe a hike through the woods, through the hills, Santa Monica Mountains, maybe Arboretum, wherever it is. Bring yourself into that space and take in that scent. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And then our last one in this meditation will be one thing you can taste. This one probably a more simple one for you to remember. But think back on the last great meal you had and the favorite thing from that meal, whatever it was. Imagine yourself in that space. Imagine yourself tasting that food, whatever it was. Taking a deep breath. And exhale through the mouth. Great. And gently open your eyes. And just coming back. So another thing that I would add into this one would be just sort of a clearing kinesthetic stimulation, which is one that we use a lot, is just kind of rubbing your fingertips together. Just sort of bringing back into the space. Some people go into really deep trance-like states in these meditations, and some people don't. But as a general rule, it would be kind of a good standard to bring people back out. So we're back in the space, everyone's back, everyone's relatively clear. Okay, so we'll move on. And now I'm going to go through this PowerPoint again. If you guys see that I skipped one, feel free to let me know. But this one, now we have a concentrative one. Now this one is actually this is a very common exercise, actually, in meditation. There are many names for it. It doesn't matter what we call it, really, but let's just call it focus points. As we all know, the importance of focus. I remember when I first started doing yoga and meditation practices, one of the first articles that came across my computer screen at the time was there's a story about focus, because I think Google had just sort of existed. It just came into existence, and I started typing in, because I'm an early adopter, and I typed in the benefits of focus. And what came up on my screen, oddly enough, was a story about a ship liner, like a giant coastliner, where the crewmen had lost their focus, and they thought that the next guy was paying attention. And it was sort of a ripple effect that happened. And the captain lost his ship, actually. They actually, nobody passed away, but they actually lost their ship. And it came down to focus and concentration. For whatever reason, I guess he had been working long hours, so he had gone away. He went into his cabin. And I remember, as being a teacher of meditation, I always try to kind of see the benefits, what's behind what I'm doing. Or I just don't want to be involved in that thing. I don't want to sell something unless it actually works. You know, cream that's going to make me burn calories or something like that. That's not something I believe in, so I won't sell it. This stuff does work, and the benefits can be literally life-saving. That particular case, nobody had perished, but there probably are many where people do. So a concentrative ability can be critical, especially, and in many ways, we are kind of all running our own ship in a way in life, right? So having our ability to focus at times will be critical, and at times it won't be. There will be times where we want to completely let go of focus, and there are meditations for that as well. So this one would be, what Ramanava's do here is just really more of like a kind of traditional concentration meditation, where you're just going to focus. It does help to, I would say, since we've been sitting for a little while, I would say just kind of like roll your shoulders a little bit. I'm going to stick to the meditation, but I don't want you to get uncomfortable. And then just reach your arms overhead. And then just bring your right arm behind your back and clasp your right wrist with your left hand. Okay? And then just turn to your left side. So if you mirror me, you would turn this way. And then just kind of stretch a little bit in your upper trapezius. And then switch sides, so just other side. So clasping your left wrist, and just give like a very mild pull, and then turn to your shoulder like this, and just kind of lean down. Taking a deep breath, and exhale through the mouth. Good. And then just bring your arms overhead again, one more time. Hold the breath in. Hold. Press your hands together. Squeeze your belly in. And exhale through the mouth. And just bring your hands in your lap. And then we're just going to take a moment, just look at this. It is there. Can everyone see the dot? Okay. So it's sitting upright, and then just focus at this little dot. Now, what's important in this type of meditation, I have my own dot here. I'm going to look at my paper. Is that, and I know this sounds so simple, but when your mind starts to wander a little bit, one of the worst things to do in meditation is that you start to get like judgmental or cause tension because for some reason your mind starts to wander. Just that is part of this type of training. Your mind wanders a little bit, thinks a thought, bring your attention back to your focus. Very few people can focus at a specific point for a long duration of time without any fluctuation in their mind, because it is the nature of the mind to wander a little bit. Let it wander instead of fighting it, like in many martial arts. Instead of using all of your force to meet the force directly, instead you use some of the challenge energy to your benefit. That's a principle that we use a lot in martial arts training. So the same thing, because it is the nature of the mind to wander. If it wanders, don't fight it. Just let it wander like it's a ripple on the top of a pond. but it will always come back to the center, just like a big circular pond. Okay, so keeping your focus. And then just keep your breath balanced. This one will be a neutral balanced breath. So if your rhythm is normally a stronger, longer exhale, which for many people it is, this one would be a so it's an even breath pattern. Again, focusing your attention. Allow your eyes to blink. So even though it's concentration, it's an equanimous, concentrated focus. Allowing your eyes to blink will allow your eyes to stay lubricated and relaxed. And having a relaxed focus will allow you to focus for a greater duration of time. Keep your breath flowing. Keep your body as straight as you can, but still relaxed. Try and relax your shoulders. Keep your breath flowing the whole time. So even though you're focusing, even though you're concentrating, you're still equanimous in nature. You're still able to do the task, but remain calm. Taking a deep breath through the nose. Hold the breath in. Exhale through the mouth. Good. And then just shake your hands out. This is another way to pull people out a little bit. I'd love to get some feedback. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I'd love to hear, does anybody want to give some feedback to what you're experiencing so far? Huh? Okay.
Yeah, I feel like the rain's been helping.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's great. I like this one more than the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's been working. I think it's good.
All right, good. Good. So yeah, and this one is the reason I didn't spend as much time on this one. This one is going to be probably like it's so straightforward. It's just a very, if I were to classify it, it's concentrated. It's Chan or Gyan or Zen, they all mean the same thing. They're all the same word. They literally, it's like our English word, gnosis. That's why I think the G is in front of the N, if you've ever wondered why. It comes back, it goes all the way back to like Chan in the Sanskrit, or the early. Chan is a Chinese, Gyan is a Sanskrit. But these concentrated focus points I think are excellent for people that are working, in corporate environments, especially open space ones like these, where you're all in the same room together so that you can kind of drill down and focus and do the things that you need to do forward. So okay, and are there any questions on this so far? Did anybody else start to get a sort of a cloudy, like I got a cloudy, almost a like Vaseline on the lens kind of effect? Did anybody get that? You start to get this sort of like everything else was like out of focus, but then there was like this focus point just on that one point. Okay, so we all kind of had a lot of us had a similar experience. Because I started getting this, when I do this one, I get these weird, like, not weird, it's totally normal, that your brain literally starts getting into this focus point almost like a camera does, where it's a portrait focus point, right? And everything else is out of focus, just that one little point. I love things that when you see that they actually, like, it does something, it actually works. Okay, so let's continue on. I'm doing my best to stay on these points. I'm not sure that these are in the same order as mine are. Okay, concentrated focus, body scan. These are the four that you guys wanted me to do. All right, so this one is body scan. Now this one, again, these are all very simple. And what's really important with these, especially when you study with me, is know that, or when you practice with, I think, many of the teachers, is you can, even if you try not to learn some of this stuff, you'll still learn it. So you don't have to try really hard. It's one of those rare cases in life. Like other things are like this as well, like friendships, relationships. You can't try too hard. A friendship is either there or it is not there, right? When you agree, right? It's either supposed to be or it's not. And meditation is one of these things that you naturally will absorb as a person, easier some days than others. And because of that, I think it's important to study it like that, but kind of like a sponge, that it just naturally absorbs some, as much as it can absorb that day, and that your consciousness is kind of like that as well. Because if you try too hard to grab it, it's kind of like grabbing water. Right? If you try too hard to grab it, the only reason people drown is because they try too hard to swim. If they would just breathe and just wade, they could just float the whole time. So when you do these meditations, the body scan one, the reason I set this up like this, the body scan one, for some reason people always, or not always, but a lot of times will come out of this and say like, I don't think I scanned my body right. And so my answer is, you did it right for what you were supposed to do in that day. Take all the tension out of the practice. Okay, it will make it easier in the long run. All right, so in this one, so we're going to close the eyes again. And now I'm going to give some suggestive color, but you can choose whatever color works for you. For this one, I would choose a cleansing color. So for a moment, think of whatever color would be a permeating, cleansing, nourishing, revitalizing color for you. It could be any color of the spectrum you could think of. Think of the millions of colors that you could think of, and then choose one. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And then seeing that color. If no color came to mind, the suggestive color that I use for this on my own being is an aquamarine, like a light blue color of the ocean, but in a shallow state of that phase of the ocean. Something you might see, let's say, in Costa Rica or Hawaii. Now imagine this color suddenly forms into a circular orb. Some might see it as a round, kind of bubbling water. And see it forming at the base of your feet. Somehow, your light body intimately knows that this water, this shape, is a cleansing, purifying, and revitalizing source. See it, make it vivid, make it as clear as you can. Breathe into it. Fill it with your own vibrance, your own energetic value of source. Now imagine this slowly going into your feet, starting to permeate the very tips of your toes. And as it does, feel it cleansing and revitalizing all the cells of the tips of your toes. Like maybe after a long day of standing or sitting and your feet feel a little sore, and then you get to take a bath, you feel that warmth of the water. Imagine it slowly entering your feet. And as you breathe in now, that color slowly scans up to the center point of your ankles. Again, cleansing, purifying, revitalizing, and nourishing. Exhale, and then inhale. Slowly as it scans up through to your calf muscles, relaxing and nourishing, filling them with life. And again, as you breathe in, breathing it up into your knees. And then again, exhaling, letting it just hang out there for a moment. Seeing the color again, seeing the cells perhaps becoming invigorated with life, energy. And then again, taking a deep breath. And breathing it up into the hips. So all the way up through your quads, through your legs, all the way up to the center point of your pelvis. And again, relaxing, revitalizing, nourishing, purifying, like rain on a warm spring day. Taking another deep breath, and as you breathe in, slowly up into your belly, and all of the perhaps tension that could be associated with the stomach. How thin it is, how strong it is, how defined it is, how undefined it is. See if you can let it relax, and as that energetic color scans up again slowly, it relaxes and revitalizes all the cells of your digestive system, and then breathe in all the way into the heart center, so bringing that light up. And as it enters the heart, it also expands through your chest, through your lungs, and down through your arms. And all the things that you create with your hands. And all the work that your hands have ever done. And all the healing that takes place through the heart center. Again, breathing that in. Taking another deep breath. Make it even brighter. So now almost your whole body is lit by the same beautiful light. Again, relaxing into these concepts. Not being in any state of tension at all, whether you're doing it right or wrong. Again, slowly as you breathe in now. Breathe in all the way up to the throat center, so where you're just the base of your chin. Bringing it up slowly, and then exhale again. Center of truth and the power of speech. The ability to say what is necessary at times, the ability to perhaps not say certain things. Again, taking another deep breath, and this time all the way up to the mind, the power of the mind and its infinite capacity to think thoughts. Its infinite ability to forgive and heal and nourish. And taking another deep breath, and make this light now grow so expansive and so bright and so powerful that it now permeates not just your physical body, but a space around your physical body, 6 to 7 feet around you. And then just breathing that in again now with each breath, making it growing brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter and expansive till now it covers the entire space of this room. Cleansing and purifying, revitalizing and nourishing every single atom, every single molecule. Taking another deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. And gently roll your thumbs across the tips of your fingers. open your eyes. And then just kind of turn your head side to side, maybe like wiggle out your shoulders a little bit. And then we'll continue on. Check the times. I like to end right on time. So this one is breath awareness. Now breath awareness, we've already done some breath awareness. As I mentioned, because breath is part of your autonomic nervous system, but you also control the breath at the same time, right? You can stop it, you can start it, you can slow it down. Unlike the thunder, I can't stop it, but the breath, you could, right? You can control it. Different breathing exercises will make you feel amped up, really strong, like you drank a bunch of coffee, like a triple espresso. And then some will make you feel like you drank a bunch of chamomile tea. I'm going to keep it very, we're in California, so I'm sure there are other teas you guys know about that will make you calm, but chamomile tea, we're just relaxing, and like you're in a warm bath. So a lot of what we've been doing has been the chamomile side of the breath. This one didn't really give me a lot of kind of like specific deep, breathing patterns, but what I'm going to do with this one is a simple kind of breath pattern that you can do with counts, which I do mainly in my classes are all non-denominational and stuff, so we don't do a lot of like chanting and things like that. The reason that some people do chanting is because of the history of yoga, but you can do the same thing with breath awareness and duration. So the reason that a lot of people might do a chant would be a deep breath in, and then when you chant, it's this really slow, long exhale. That breath pattern has a soothing effect versus, let's just explore a couple different ones, since you guys are all going to be working on the process. You're all going to be working on